Arjun. Good evening, Ms. Indrani. Now, a little bit of information about Dr. Arjun. Dr. Arjun is the co-founder of Transform Habits, LLC USA, an author and a renowned mind and body integration coach. He practices medicine at Cork Diagnostic Center while also conducting mental health workshops for students, parents, and corporations globally. He has been consistently successful in helping groups and individuals access their potential by offering real world solutions. His approach helps individuals optimize social dynamics through a crystal clear understanding of themselves and others. Dr. Arjun has had the unique opportunity to encounter a multitude of teachers who have mastered their discipline and was trained by them in various fields of study such as NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, nutritional correction, and modern and Asian sciences. Having traveled throughout India, Dr. Arjun has developed fluency in 9 Indian languages and conducts seminars and workshops across the country while connecting deeply with his audience and transmitting his knowledge using simple approaches. Dr. Arjun is most proud of his extensive work with the Karnataka Police Department in conducting drug awareness campaigns across the state, which have transformed the lives of many at risk youth from hopelessness to state of well-being. In his career, he has respectfully utilized his experiences to develop new tools to make lasting changes for the benefits of all. Good evening, Dr. Arjun.
Welcome, sir. So our
Thank you.
next
Thank you so
speaker,
much.
is Miss Indrani Yashoda Kompella. Miss Indrani is a co-founder of Transform Habits. She is a behavioral analyst and psychologist working in Bangalore. She graduated from the University of Boston. During her stint, she worked as a research assistant under the renowned Dr. Alice Carter to identify infants and toddlers at risk for problems in social, behavioral, and emotional functioning. She has been working with children with intellectual disabilities, especially autistic children, since 2003. She regularly conducts parent training workshops using scientific methods of applied behavior analysis. She has given multiple talks and workshops on stress management, mindfulness, and on mental health in various corporate and non-profit sectors. She regularly works with corporate leaders to become efficient as well. Miss Indrani grew up in New Zealand and America and moved to India in 2008. In addition to working in corporate space, she has led many rural empowerment projects in India for over 15 years. She is passionate about empowering women and children. Her diverse upbringing allows her to understand and communicate with various groups of people. Her passion to live a spiritually enriched life has led her to travel extensively in the Himalayas, learning self-awareness techniques and different forms of meditations. She uniquely integrates ABA tools with acceptance and commitment therapy and mindfulness practices and guides many to transform their own lives. Yeah, good evening, Indrani ma'am. Welcome to our session.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. Don't worry that children never listen to you. Worry that they are always watching you. With this thought, I would request Dr. Arjun and Miss Indrani to take over the stage. And parents, if you have any question, please use chat box to post your query. Thank you.
It's wonderful to be here. On this platform, it is our first time at Sundarji Global Academia, so we are very honored to be here. Thank you for having us. I'd like to begin with. Let me quickly share my slides. This is the topic today is proactive parenting, and the word can often be confusing. What does proactive mean? Proactive is a way of reducing problem behaviors or reducing the need for punishment procedures by altering the environment ahead of time. So when you do something, anticipating that, okay, if if I know my son gets triggered by certain environments, if I am aware of that pattern already, like most parents are usually with their children, to go ahead and proactively change that environment even before the event occurs. So we call this in ABA, in applied behavior analysis, we call this antecedent interventions. And this is our approach to some of the best parenting tools, right? So we prefer not to use methods that lead us to punishment procedures, lead us to aversive techniques. Concentrate and we concentrate on proactive methodologies by changing the environment. We learn how, and this uh, every parent, the challenge of parenting is incredible. Like once you become the parent, you have absolutely no time for yourself. You have absolutely energy is getting exhausted keeping up with your little ones. You can't run behind them, keep up the same energy, and oftentimes it's really exhausting to be that parent, right? So certain tools that help you handle situations better. One of them is proactive parenting. And the second word, proactive, we've understood. The second word, parenting, that's very important. Whenever, we have parents coming and asking us for parent training workshop, they expect us to tell us how the child can transform, right? But parenting is all about the parent transforming. If the parent, the key word there is the parent, not the child. The way you intervene, the way you react, the way you regulate makes a whole lot of difference in how the child is learning from you. So basically, from the time the child is born, from the time the child is a newborn, they start imitating, they start learning things by imitating expressions, your facial expressions, the social cues that they are picking up from the environment. They are imitating those, and the environment that you create, this doesn't change just because they're growing up. It's not that they're coming up with new behaviors all by themselves. It's mostly the environment that shapes these behaviors, the modeling or whatever you're shaping their behaviors, like that is what is being learned by that child. And it's so important, this cannot be stressed more, that a self-regulating parent is the only one that is going to have self-regulating kids. This is, if you understand anything at the end of this session, please understand only, if you understand just this line, that's more than enough. Self-regulating parents have self-regulating kids. You're trying to teach your child not to scream, or you're trying to teach your child to functionally and effectively communicate. You must master that yourself. A lot of parents want their kids to spend time on books and read a lot more than be on TV or be on their phone or be on their tabs. If you sit with the child and you are a reader, that's when your child is going to get interested in reading. If you have a picky eater, for example, there's tons of kids, especially special needs kids, that have trouble with a lot of food items. And oftentimes it is the parent that is also not showing them that this food is yummy. You eat it also. You eat it in front of the child for 1 month if you require to, and immediately the child starts understanding that the food is not aversive for somebody else, and it must maybe be okay to try it. At least you can get them to try it. And it's not just for those, it's verbal behaviors, whatever we are saying, whatever your the way you speak, the tone of voice, the you know the level of understanding that you show, compassion that you show, everything starts getting imitated by that child. Because verbal behaviors, why I wrote echoic minds and tags, is because the moment you have a child learning speech, the first thing that comes, the first way that they learn how to speak is through echoic. Echoic is basically I say something, they say it back to me. No, no, yes, yes. That's how they echo the word back to you. And that echoic behavior continues much on to their adulthood. So the way you speak to a child, the way you speak to a teenager, the way you speak to an adult, basically that is what the environment is teaching them. So as a parent, taking complete responsibility of your child, and of parenting, and being completely accountable for how you're shaping their behaviors is in your hands. Basically, we're getting the remote into our hands. So one of the first things, the first and foremost things that you must um, okay, all these wonderful cartoons were put in there by Dr. Arjun, and it's just, it is humorous. I'm also looking at it right now, and it's hilarious. Thank you, Dr. Arjun, for those. Um, so pairing is what we would want the parent to do first as they become the moment they become parents. They're extremely involved with their newborns, extremely caring towards their infants. And as the child grows up, as the child starts demanding, as the child is becoming naughty or you're not able to handle certain behaviors, that's when parents unpair themselves from their children. They start not enjoying their time together. They start, it's easier to give an iPad than sitting with your child and spending time in a game, or talking to your child, playing. It's not just games. You can help ask them to do chores with you, teaching them new skills all by yourself, not depending on teachers or therapists. So that starts becoming exhausting for the parent. And anytime you have a parent that is disconnected or unpaired, both the child and the parent, how do you know you have unpaired with your child? That is because if you tell, I want to spend time with you, and your child rather choose the iPad because you are not being reinforcing, that means you spending time with you is not rewarding for them for some reason, then you know that you have unpaired with yourself from this child. So at that time, you can take actions by trying to start repairing with your child, right? So a lot of times, adults become aversive. They're the way they speak to the child, what the instructions are not being understood by the child. All these things start becoming extremely aversive to the child, and they rather escape you and go in and do their own thing in their own world, with their own friends, with their own with even themselves, rather than being with them, we being with the parent, right? So pairing happens when you are enjoying your time with your child, having a good time, without placing any demands. Look, at that time you can't say, look, I want you to do your homework, or clean up the mess with me. There's no demands. When you're pairing with your child, absolutely just first start having fun with your child. And there, it's enjoy these moments with your child. Truly have those blocks of time that you take in your day, without you distracting yourself with any other chores or anything else. Start pairing with the child and just enjoy your one-on-one. It could be hugs, it could be reading, it could be running, going for a walk, anything that you both enjoy doing together, right? And like the car, the picture, the image says, we all need time. We all have those moments where it just gets really exhausting to be a parent, and it's really easy in those moments. That those are the moments that we need to be extremely careful, because that is the time when your child is waiting for your response. Yes, they know they have messed up, They know they have done something wrong, and they're waiting for your reaction as a parent to learn what the appropriate behavior is in that moment. So when you react with, absolutely, by screaming at them or by punishing them, as children, they realize that the parent is throwing, I mean, it's not a tantrum that you're trying to teach them. It's the calm, communication that we are trying to teach our children. So, but by losing it, we are teaching them that we have absolutely no self control ourselves, but we expect them to have self control. It is extremely important to remember that we are the adults and they are the children, and hence it is our responsibility to completely, at least if not completely, to the best possible extent, take time if required, pause if required, but respond instead of react. Reactions are screaming, reactions are, hitting them, or reactions can be anything by any of these aversive things that they are going to pick up negative behaviors from. Response is usually you being able to calm yourself, you being able to communicate what the child has done wrong, you being able to say it in a way that the child will understand. And the last line, I will behave the way I want my child to follow. You want your children to be calm. It is very important to be calm first. You want your children to be mindful. We as parents must be extremely mindful. Okay.
Yes.
So I was saying that this last line, I will behave the way I want my child to follow. If you want your child to be calm, you must be calm. And any behavior modification starts at this baseline with with the understanding that you as a parent have the tools to intervene with the right. Even if you have all the tools, if you're losing it constantly, it is not going to work. There will be behaviors that will reappear because the child will learn how to manipulate your behavior constantly. Children are incredibly smart. Children are, they will learn how to use your triggers against you. You all of you would have experienced the child has pushed your buttons intentionally. The child will push your buttons intentionally unless you don't have any buttons in the first place to be pushed. And that comes with being mindfully aware of, the fact that they are children and we are the adults. So with that, I would like to go into the functions of behavior. Every behavior, whether it's crying, whether it's tantrums, whether it's good behaviors, negative behaviors, every behavior has only four functions. So these four functions include access, attention, escape, and automatic reinforcement. What are they? Access is when when not just the children. This can apply to any behaviors across populations, but we today are talking about children. So access for a child means when they want an iPad, or when they want chocolates, or when they want to snack in the wrong time. That time, when they don't get that access, that's when they start throwing a major tantrum or throwing some sort of aggressive displaying some sort of aggressive behaviors. So that is one. Attention, when you are on the phone, and or you are on your working, or you're doing anything, and the child needs your attention but is not able to functionally communicate that with you, at that time the child will throw tantrums and or behave in negative ways. And escape, when you give them homework, when maybe they don't like writing, at that time again the child will learn how to escape that. Automatic reinforcement, it's none of this. Stimming, a lot of special needs children stim, and there won't be any reason other than the fact that that is how the body is made. So it's not always that the child is trying to throw a tantrum. It's also the fact that the child gets automatically a good feeling when they are in rocking, or there's a lot of kids that rock their body, and that's because when they have anxiety, it's a self-soothing technique that they have learned. So not all behaviors need to be contained. If it provides, there are certain behaviors, of course, automatic reinforcement doesn't mean that it's all good. Sometimes, it's head hitting for no reason, and just because the child thinks it feels good to feel that pain at that time, yes, you have to intervene. But there are some things that you don't have to intervene as well. But when you understand why your child is behaving a certain way, these four things, look for it, look at look at what triggered that behavior, what could be, we call them the ABCs of behavior. What happened? What is the behavior? What are the consequences? Look at these individually, and you'll understand, okay, my child is seeking my attention. And at that time, it becomes easy to come up with come up with ways to intervene, right? So reinforcements are another really important concepts that you as parents we must understand. We must reward good behaviors consistently. Oftentimes it's only the times that the child is doing something terrible we intervene, and you say something that loud, and that says, no, don't do this, why do you do this? But we don't praise enough. We have to give verbal praise. We have to reward the children, when they're even showing the slightest amount of good behavior, even for 10 minutes in, if they have contained or tried to self manage and tried to behave a certain way, reward them with at least verbal praise, right? So there's multiple ways when you're trying to teach a child not to do one behavior. Never ever ever remove and say don't do it. A child will never understand don't do it without you telling what to do, right? Without you telling, giving them the alternate behavior that they can engage in. Suppose you say no TV, the child cannot think, what can I do without the TV, right? So always say, you can, you cannot watch TV, but you can do this activity that they equally like. So always give them that option, and always ensure that as parents uh, we ourselves become rewarding for the child. Our words become rewarding for the child. We're in praise of the children, and we are appreciating good behaviors as much as we are you know um, reprimanding bad behaviors, right? So we will talk about antecedent interventions. This is basically a fancy word for saying go in there before the behavior becomes worse, right? So before, what is our goal as a parent? What is our goal as a parent? To increase positive behaviors and decrease negative behaviors, right? Without using aversive techniques. This is very important. As parents, we try to push that positive behaviors without using aversive techniques. You can definitely engage a child, drag a child to their therapy sessions. You can, they are not enjoying it, that means they will not learn effectively. When the child enjoys through, it could be play therapy, it could be anything. When the child starts enjoying, learning happens like that, literally like that. You become that child to engage with that child, learning happens faster. But unfortunately, as parents, we have very little energy, we are running, which is why it's also important to take care of yourself as a parent. That's a completely different topic, but have the right energy when you go in to do any of this. Have the right mindset, right? So some of the things that I'm going really fast because I do have to share the time with Dr. Arjun as well. So let me know if there are any questions in the end. If I'm going too fast, please feel free to stop me. But for now, what are the ways that you can help a child in these interventions? Use prompts. Prompts need not just be it could be verbal prompts. You can tell the child if they are unable to use the right words, or use the right body language. You can help the child by prompting. Prompting is the way you give them little cues of how to behave, right? And use technology to help reduce behaviors. There are alarms there. Yes, you can have, you know, almost every other child is addicted to screen these days. Screen time has become, and it's also partially the parent that is giving in to that screen time, because it's easier to engage a child with the screens than with themselves, right? So at that time, it's all right to limit the time using alarms, using technology, and say, train the child in ways that they will give back automatically the moment the alarm rings. Train the child to give it back to you and reward it instantly. Reward that behavior instantly, and the child is more likely to learn limiting the use of their screens. Visual aids. Kids do not like suddenly dumping, when you suddenly dump a schedule on them. Kids get real anxiety. Don't, follow schedules. Have a timetable. Have a meal plan. This is the meal. If you have a picky eater, say, this is the meal that you're going to eat during the week, so that they can mentally prepare for that. What does the parent need to do? The parent needs to be organized. The parent needs to know exactly what they are doing during the day, so that they can allow, especially with special needs children, this becomes a very, very, very important thing. Even with typical kids, it's very important to keep kids on schedules. But with special needs kids, we see a lot of anxiety, and it's totally something that you can handle. You as a parent can create schedules. You as a parent can fall into that schedule yourself first, and then train your children. You can put it up on the fridge, you can put it up all over the bedroom. This is the time you wake up, this is how you brush your teeth. Visual aids can also be used to break down certain tasks. Your child finds it hard to use the toilet. You can use the visual aids to break down the tasks by showing the pictures. Put the picture of what to do. You turn the tap first, and then you wash your hands, wash your face. You can write those in order and keep them as visual aids for your children, to help them understand what comes next, especially for the kids that do not understand the order of things, right? So non-contingent reinforcement came twice. We will praise your kids when it's not necessary, when they are in a good mood, when they are happy, when behaviors are not occurring, and encourage them to behave. That automatically takes care. That instantly, when you provide enough praise, kids are kids at the end of the day. Even as adults, we seek praise, we seek validation, even as adults. So imagine for a child how important validation is. When as a parent give it to them, when you as a parent give it to them, it means the world to them. So continuously provide some form of reinforcement in order to encourage that child to behave a certain way. Not in terms of reprimands, not in terms of using instructions and putting those demands, in just happy hugs, kisses. All these things are reinforcement. High fives. If your child doesn't like to be touched, teach or singing their favorite song. Any of these become reinforcements for the child, and the more you do it, the more you pair with your child, the more likely they're going to listen to you. Premac principle very quickly is when you give a child a task that they don't like, right? When you give a child a task that they are 100% sure that they will throw a tantrum, they will not do it. Use ways to say, if you do this, I will allow you to get whatever it is, ice cream, or I will allow you 15 minutes of this is not bribing the child. This is really just getting them to a place where you are shaping that behavior, and slowly you can wean this off. Slowly you can wean it off and say, okay, now that you know that you can sit for 15 minutes without doing, I mean, on task, when you can sit for 15 minutes without watching TV or without running away, I know that I can increase this behavior to 20 minutes. So slowly you're shaping these behaviors with your child. It needs enormous patience, and it needs you to plan these ahead of time. And functional communication training is another way of you know um, teaching your child ways to, when you are able to functionally communicate with your children, when you're able to say exactly what you want and why you want them to do this, slowly they start seeing the importance of communication also. And in functional communication training, these are concepts that we have to go in depth with. We are trying to touch upon these very important concepts. um, you have to teach the child appropriate ways of behaving. Again, instead of saying don't do it, tell them what they can do. Or when they're not able to express what they want to do, teach them how to express that. Teach them, model it out. Model, they will imitate, they will learn, they will slowly make that a habit or behavior. And replace negative behaviors with functionally equivalent behaviors. When you take something away, especially when you know that the child will have a meltdown, when what you are offering, because we are going to offer something back, right? We've talked about that. When you take something away, offer something back that the child can do or can engage in, that is equally reinforcing for the child and not as harmful. So these techniques, when you're using, it's more likely that the child will have behaviors that decrease, and positive behaviors that will increase over time. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Dr. Arjun.
One of the very, very important thing when it comes to a journey of a parent is please have fun. Now, why I always, this is one of the first things which I always tell parents: you are already a parent. You didn't expect, sometimes you might have expected, you did not expect what you got something else, you wanted something else. Stories are done. You are a parent now, and accept the fact that I am a parent. And you can look at it now that you're a parent. You have two ways of looking at it. One, you can have fun, and you can say this is difficult. So if you say I will have fun, the chances of you having a better journey, it's going to be difficult. It's Nobody can tell how difficult each parent's journey is. Only our parents know how difficult we are for them, and that is what parenting is all about. But ultimately, if you choose to say, you wake up in the morning and you say, I will have fun, I will find different ways to have fun with my child, and accept the reality and say, I am going to have fun. Let me see what. So eventually, what starts to happen when you begin with this attitude is, maybe tomorrow it won't be better, maybe day after tomorrow, but eventually you will crack it. Yes, many, many times you might not be able to take your child like every other child, but that's okay. Just know that you and your child will have fun, and make this promise every morning you wake up. Make this promise to yourself: I am going to have fun. And that is the best thing that you can do to yourself, your own soul, because reality, nobody has control, but what you are going to do with it. And if, believe me, today I will be definitely going to tell you a few ways in which you can have fun. But before that, I would like to cover a couple of things. One is, if many of the children who are found to be on the special need side, or even normal children today, almost 99% of children are nutritionally deficient. So this is very important. Let me explain this why. When we were young, let's go back 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, the soil in which the crops were grown were much more, and the micronutrients was available. So micronutrients are magnesium, manganese, cobalt, selenium, gold. So all of these micronutrients, they come into the plant and in the fruits. All of the micronutrients come to the fruit. Now, what happened in last 15 years, last 20 years and this side is population increased. So ultimately, the first crop gets all the nutrition, and second crop onwards, we are adding only NPK. NPK is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And those of you who have a little bit of agricultural BSc background knows you get robust crops. You get really huge vegetables when you add NPK fertilizers in appropriate proportion. The outcome is it does not contain micronutrients. Every food that you're eating today, it can be rice, it can be vegetables, all of them are grown using NPK fertilizers. It's not bad. And the micronutrients are missing. This is one of the very, very important aspects. Any child, it doesn't matter if your child is typical child, atypical child, on the spectrum, not on the spectrum, micronutrients are missing. So now, coming to how will you cover the micronutrients? So, micronutrients. Now, many parents tell me I would like to go to organic food. No, see, unfortunately, organic food is where they're putting all these organic materials, but micronutrients are not there. First crop, first fruit takes away all the micronutrients. Second fruit onwards, we are again adding other micro NPK fertilizers. In organic NPK fertilizers come in form of wastes. We call them chick or chicken waste. We call them chicken waste. So we add this chicken manure, chicken stool manures and things like that. It contains a lot of ammonia. So we are adding in an organic way still only NPK. We are not adding micronutrients. Correcting micronutrients in our regular food, it's a very difficult way in naturally. My recommendation, I'm not saying you have to do this. There are other complicated ways. I'll tell you my recommendation. My recommendation is replace micronutrients with the over the counter supplementation. You get micronutrient supplementation. It comes in syrup forms, it comes in tablet forms, whichever your child can take, please have it. But if you say, no, I want to do naturally, then what you have to do is you have to take these medicines, you have to put them into your, yes, Vinamrata, we'll get to this later. Uh, uh, we will, uh, you have to put these micronutrients in a water pool or something and grow your own spirulina or wheatgrass, and then these micronutrients enter into those plants, and those things you have to give it to your child. So bottom line, micronutrient supplementation is must. How you do it, it's left to you. The mineral supplementation, which we can do it using these over-the-counter syrups or over-the-counter tablets, I recommend it highly because I have seen in my practice, just by correcting micronutrients, there is a lot of improvement when it comes to children. So that is one. Second is fibrous foods. Foods are whole fruits like apples, uh, banana, any of these fruits which have like lots of fibers. You can give whole fruits. That's natural unprocessed foods. Again, why I'm saying natural unprocessed food means it's raw, uncooked food. Every meal must have a small portion of natural, unprocessed, not heated, not warmed, just raw fruits, nuts, anything that can be eaten. Then the next one is ancestral foods. Ancestral food is extremely great for the gut bacteria of your child. So if your parents, if your grandparents have been eating certain kinds of food, it's preferable that the gut bacteria of your child is also easily it's going to digest those foods. And today there is a because we have moved, like my parents moved from their native to a town to a city, and boom, the gut bacteria changes. Now the gut bacteria does not have ability. See, one more thing here is vegetarian community eating non-vegetarian food. non-vegetarian community shifting to vegetarian food. This also is really hard on the gut bacteria of the child. So if you have already changed the practices, come as much as possible closer to your ancestral foods by adding micronutrients, by adding fibers and all these things. And next, very, very important thing is eating together as a family. Now, this is a time when you sit together as a family, you bond together as a family, and every single person, like this is, it could be father, it could be mother, chew your food, chew everything that you eat at least 10 to 12 times. You chew your food, you can make your child chew the food. Now, many children don't eat regular foods, so certain kinds of foods. What you can do is, I have, if you have heard me before, I always tell, make your child eat the food that your child does not eat. You eat it and start chewing the food, and make your child put the child's ear on your cheek. Now, for example, the child does not eat carrot or tomatoes. You cut tomato, you cut carrot, put it in your mouth, start chewing the food, and then make your child put his or her ear on your cheek and you chew the food. Now, as you chew the food, the sound of you chewing the food will be heard by your child. Many children who are on the special needs spectrum, who are atypical children, or children who have certain specific choices in foods, they have this attitude. They're acoustic. They listen to sounds really loud. Like the chewing sound is heard as like boom, boom, boom inside their head. So you chew the food, make the child listen to your chewing sound, and the child knows, okay, this is how it sounds. It's natural. It's happening to my mother. It's happening to my father. I will also eat that same food. So sometimes there is a difference in texture. We say these are cheating foods. Like tomato is a cheating food. Outside it looks like it is a different fruit, but inside it's all fleshy. Many children don't eat it because it's the brain. What you see is not what you get technically. So that's the same process. You cut the tomato, you show that this is tomato, you chew the food, and then you make the child listen to uh, the chewing sound by making the child say, listen, listen. You make the child put the child's ear to your cheek, to the joints here. It'll That's one. And then drinking water. This is also very important. You must drink appropriate amounts of water. I can't say how much, but let's say minimum from 2.5 liters to 4 liters, whichever is appropriate to your height and age. You must drink that much amount of really good water. And one of the recent things which we are seeing is, if you are using RO water, reverse osmosis water. Today it's really popular. All these uh, machines use RO water. If you are using RO machine at home, collect the water and put maybe some leaf. You can put cucumbers, you can put mint, you can put any fresh leaves into that water. Uh, okay, so you have to put these fresh leaves, something fresh vegetables into that water. Collect RO water, put these things, and the water is, since it is not it's not natural water. RO is electronically prepared water. So our body, you can look it up. There are a lot of tons of research on this. So what you have to do is you have to put some plant material. You can cut tulsi, you can cut mint, you can cut cucumbers, you can cut carrots, put them, you can cut lime, you can put them into that RO water, keep it, and then keep drinking that water. That's really a good way. It infuses into water, so it's tasty too. So this is how you eat with your food. And if you're really interested to know more about this, you can please get in touch with any of us. We are into what is the kind of nutrition that you need. We can always you can get, I'm just giving you information. You can just do this, this is enough. But if you need specific things, you can always connect with us. We will on individual basis, this is my work. I can tell you what your child should eat based on the age and things like that. We can totally do that. And next thing is games. This is one more thing. When you're having fun, Indrani was telling you, please have fun, please have play games, pairing. These games are extremely important for your child. Most of us unconsciously during our childhood, we played this, and come Corona, come all these social distancing and whatnot, the child does not know to be a child. So some of the games, I'm mentioning these games because most parents have forgotten these are the games that child can learn, child can play. So first one is Ludo is a great game to learn addition. So you throw the dice, you say this is one, you throw the dice, you say this is two, and you show the child. Now depending on what spectrum your child is, so but still you can learn the child to count those things. So you keep throwing the thing and say one, say two, start gradually. That's a great way. And then um, many children are really, even if they are autistic, see, many parents say my child is autistic, and but they're really really great when it comes to chess, because autism, it doesn't matter where on the spectrum the child is, the mirror neurons, or there's a lot of science behind it, but the child does not understand emotional bonding, but the intellectual ability of the child is really extremely high. So if you can teach the child, even if you find your child to be on the spectrum, doesn't matter, you can teach the child chess. Boom, the child actually improves its cognitive abilities, the strategic abilities. Snakes and ladders, this is also a great game. Life is all about going up and down, and you teach your child that sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down. There is one more game called Go. It's a board game from China. uh, it's said that if you understand the game, you understand life. It's called Go Game, and it's a brilliant game. Black and white coins, and just pawns. You keep increasing. These are brilliant moves. Uh, Tons of small kids, like 4-year-old, 5-year-old kids also can play Go board game. And then if depending again, Monopoly. Monopoly is another game. If your child is not, if you have a normal child, or if you have a typical child, and or if you have a really high functional autistic child, this Monopoly is a great game. Child will understand life in terms of this board game. So these are indoor games. uh, Teach the child about winning and losing. We all win, we all lose in our lives, and unless a child knows this is the polarity of life, you don't get too upset when you win. You don't get too elated. You don't get too excited when you win. You bring about the balance into your life by playing these games. And next, some of uh, these games are like, can you? So the next is outdoor games. When it comes to outdoor games, some of the great outdoor games, I love this. I call this sock cricket. What you do is you put a cricket ball into a socks, you tie it from the uh, roof, and then you keep making the child hit the socks tied on with a rope with the bat. Just ensure that the rope is not too long enough to hit any bulbs, so that way the ball keeps going and coming back. Sock cricket. So what this does is it helps the child have better coordination. All the arm muscles, all the coordinations improve. That's one really great game, sock cricket. Second is hopscotch, kuntebele, in they call in Kannada. I don't know what. Every community has this game. One day you play with right leg, one day you play with left leg, and then you also say you throw the stones, whatever falls you say jump two, jump one. So it improves mathematical skills, additional skills, strengthens each muscles. One day right leg, one day left leg, you start playing, it will improve the leg strength. Blindfold games, this is another great game. You it reduces, see, this is one of the really, lot of children say, say we have fear, claustrophobia and things like that. Blindfold games will not allow you to have claustrophobia ever. So you put the blindfold, you know from where the sound is coming, the child will learn to move. So these are games that should be played. It's unfortunate that people have not, generation has not played these games now. So blindfolding games, and then skipping games. Skipping games are like, maybe one person is doing, or maybe father and mother is rotating the the rope, and the child jumps. That helps father and mother coordination and bonding, and child also learns to time the jumping along with it. So it's a great way to say we are going to do 100 together, we are going to do 200 together. So you're bonding really really great. All of these games are great for creative skills. They build emotional bonding, it builds social, it has a lot of social development happening. Motor skills improve, sensory skills improve. These are some simple games which, it doesn't matter where on the spectrum your child is, you can pick two or three. And my request to every parent is invest 15 minutes on one of these games, any of these. one day indoor, one day outdoor, something. Invest a certain amount, 15 minutes on the games. You will make tons of difference because you're going to improve creativity, or you're going to teach child about winning and losing. You're going to have this better emotional bonding, social skills improve, all of this happen. So with that, we are done. And like here, this is one of my uh, favorite. Like if you see the last one, we all say, what's the we are all of us are put on this earth so that we can make others happy. But what are others here for? Why are you all here? Why is every other person around us? Sometimes we don't have answers for everything in life. Life happens, but we have a choice. We can make it fun. We can make it a lot more joyful. And I wish and pray that if you find your own ways to create more joy, create more fun, and if you need any queries regarding nutrition, please get in touch with us. More than happy. We can have a consultation and take you through the tailor the nutrition for your child based on your child's level. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, either to Indrani ji or to me, we'll still be around for a couple of minutes. I think we still have time. I don't know how your organizers put it, but feel free to ask. Thank
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am. Sir, here we are having some questions in our chat box.
you. And how do
Yeah.
I see
So,
it?
one parent is asking what to do at times, sometimes when kids start manipulating parents.
Okay. Behavior question. I would like to take that. It's a very simple answer. You can only manipulate what gets manipulated. So don't get manipulated when your child is manipulating you. Your response still holds. Yes, your child is trying. You can only elicit the behaviors that you choose to, not what your child is pushing you to, right? So yes, children in general, most children, and actually manipulation and lying, all these are very very important for cognition, for development. So these are not things that they are doing to um, irritate you alone. It's their brain trying to learn. These pathways are trying to figure out what manipulating is a tactic that we need in life. This is a thing that every child is eventually going to learn. But you as a parent have the remote. Always never give it away by getting manipulated. That's as simple as that. And in order to do that, you first have to be at a baseline calm, right? So it's really important. I would like to put it as almost, yeah, I wish every single parent was in some form practicing mindfulness. That helps. You meditate, whatever suits you, take your time, go for a walk. Yes, these are difficult, when especially when you have really tough kids who have figured you out, like the back of their hand. They know, okay, mama hates this tone, mama hates this pitch, I will increase it. And we haven't there's a lot to cover, but when you're trying to put behaviors on extinction, that means when you're trying to stop a behavior from occurring, what happens is the behavior actually increases before it actually goes away. So we call this extinction burst, right? So when you're trying to decrease negative behaviors, the child will cry more. Suppose you take away something and say, no, I don't want to give you this. Even if you say it calmly, first the child will cry, then the child will fall back and cry, then the child will hit their head and cry, then the child will harm themselves. At some point you as a parent, fine, have it. Your intervention has failed because you haven't stayed consistent with your extinction procedure. You as a parent have given in to the child. So how you do it, how you don't get manipulated, how it's almost like a smart navigation system that you find for yourself while holding on to that remote of parenting in your hands. Don't make the child dictate you. You gain your instructional control slowly over the child by staying consistent with your nose, with your, what, don't give empty threats, say I will take it away, but when they throw a tantrum big enough, give in to that. Staying consistent, they cannot manipulate you. Manipulation will come down. And also, do not look at that as manipulation. Always think, oh, my child is becoming smarter. The way you phrase it inside your head, and that will change your response to your child. Okay, so I hope that helps. And it's all about our self regulation. When we are regulating, that's when we will teach our children.
Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Sir, this question is for you. Are all dry fruits good for kids?
See, again, are all dry fruit good for kids? Depends on from where the dry fruit is grown, depends on what does all mean. See, when it comes to these kinds of things, we don't know the origin of those dry fruits, right? If I say what where the dry fruit is from, uh, without knowing it, I can't answer that. But my recommendation is, yes, give your child as many dry fruits as possible. It's the better way to look at it is four dry fruits of different kinds. Let's say four almonds, four pistachios, four walnuts, and apricots. Couple of them, four of them. So don't give more than four. Like usually, what happens is uh, it's like you bring dry fruits, you give, and in 3 4 days all the dry fruits are over. And then this is how it happens in usually in most houses. You bring dry fruits and it's all over. So no, that's not the way it should work. It should be like you bring dry fruits, you give four of them every day. That's it. And even as an adult or as a parent, you also have four. So you say this is four for you and this is four for me, and then you have it. So that is a better way. You work it out. You can have all the dry fruits. Sometimes dry fruits are bad also because they're not dried properly. They're dried in painted uh, sheets, so they contain a lot of tin. The paints do contain poison, and there's so many things there. So my recommendation is go for don't go for some cheap quality dry fruits. See, and I'm not saying that you pay more, it's good, but always go for uh, somewhere where you can see there are some brands who allow you to go to their facilities, and you can look them up online. There are really good brands. So that is a better way to approach rather than say, okay, this is good, this is bad. Some of the best brands also have these high heavy metals in them. So you need them, but we are living in an era where we don't know the source of what we are eating. That's what I've been also mentioning from the beginning. So try and find out the source of what you are eating, and you today you can find it online. There are really good brands. They do home deliveries also on Amazon. They put out their things so you can check them, you can get them. Answering the question, yes and no, both. So like I said, life is a paradigm of dualities, and you just have to learn to navigate through the both ends of that truth.
Thank you, Dr. Arjun. We have another question for you. Which supplement is good to give to the child for concentration?
Again, nothing. One of the first important things for concentration is ability to sit still. Think of the body like a cup. Okay, your body is like a cup, and the water inside is like your mind. And if you're constantly shaking the cup, the water cannot remain still. It's going to keep shaking. So uh, supplements aside, sitting still, Like that's what all this mindfulness, meditation, and for many, many, many years, India has always been really high on sitting still. One generation, probably our generation, our parental generation, did not sit still. And the impact of that is children don't know to sit still. I, I always ask parents, like my child does not concentrate. Sit without shaking your body for 45 seconds, and then we will be discussing concentration and focus in your child. So that's where I always tell this. So teach your child to sit still, and in case you manage to do that, you sit still, you can teach your child to sit still, and then this what we call as concentration or focus begins to develop. So supplement, see, we should not mix. See what has happened, we are living in a era where we think that you press a switch, you get delivery of Amazon or Flipkart on our door, and we believe that everything happens that way. No, there are some time tested modules which where we cannot you cannot have concentration unless you sit still. You cannot focus deeper unless you learn the art of having absolute stillness. So as a parent, first you do that. Invite your child to meditate with you. Invite your child to just sit still. Begin with at least 45 seconds, go up to 15, 20 minutes. Boom, your child's concentration magnifies. This, when I go to colleges, when I go to institutions, I tell teachers, I tell every classroom that sit still for about 20 minutes. Kids can do that really, really easily. Sit still, and then you will be able to focus. Now, uh, many parents ask me, if I teach my child to sit still, will my child's studies improve? No, it won't. Your child just learns to sit still. The basic necessary skills to learn are completely different. You have to, if unless the child does not know ABCD, he can't learn sentences, or she can't learn how to phrase a paragraph. So everything is important, but sitting still, focusing deep is a component when it comes to focusing and concentration. So recommendation for concentration: first sit still, and after sitting still, if the concentration does not improve, then see what are the building blocks of learning that has been missed. There will be basic sentence structures, numerous components. If they are also met, if the ability of the teacher is well met, then we go into the supplementation. Otherwise, basic supplementation, micronutrients, and sitting still is my recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, next question is, we play all the games mentioned by you, but now my child gets bored easily in some few minutes. We tried new games many times, but being hyperactive, he will lose interest easily. So what can we do now?
First of all, when it comes to hyperactiveness, I would again like to mention this. Missing micronutrients is one of the very, very common reasons for hyperactiveness. The body does not have all the nutrients which is essential for the child. One. Number two, uh, you have not taught the child to sit still. That's one of the very common reasons. Third reason, I would directly hit at hyperactiveness here. Third reason is a mobile phone in a small dimension, in such a small dimension, the entire universe can be seen inside a very small dimension when it comes to a mobile phone. A real world has a different pace as compared to the world inside the mobile phone. The child watches cartoon. In the cartoon, all the characters move so fast. And in the real world, everybody is moving slowly. Getting from one place to another place, you don't dart like in cartoon. So in child's world, in the child's mind, the world is so fast, but reality is very slow. So that difference is what is causing the child hyperactiveness. So remove entire exposure to these kinds of processes, which is making the child look at the world in such fast way. You sit and watch cartoons, your brain goes boom. Everything moves from one end of the room in another end of the room so fast. That is what child thinks. That's how the world is supposed to be. And step into the real world. Real world, I have to get up from my chair, and if I'm lazy that day, I can't even get up from my chair so quickly, half the speed of the cartoon character. And by the time the child is bored, the child would have replayed the entire, going there, getting it, and coming back in its own mind in one split second. And real world is slow. Why should I play that game? So stop that game first. Whatever is making the child think so fast. Hyperactiveness needs to be treated, and again, these are not the things which I can say I- without having all the picture of your child. I don't know your child. I'm just picking up things from. Uh, I'm just shooting out in the dark. But you can get in touch with me or Indrani, and she's really good with hyperactive children, and that is what I would say is much a better approach. Hyperactiveness should be dealt, can be dealt, and but you just need to take your time for that. So it's not. I would not say it is difficult, but it depends on how easy or difficult it is for you to take away that cartoon time. I'm I'm totally against cartoons when it comes to this. So I, so yeah, that's what it is. So take that and play games. Hug the child. Right. The appreciation, what you Indrani was saying, appreciation. Sing a song the child likes. Make the child feel good. If the child is not allowing hugs, pair. Give that kind of reinforcements where the child will feel, wow, I did it. Rather than going into the space where, okay, I can't deal with the child, take the phone. You know. So I understand. Not chocolates, not food. Find positive reinforcements which make the child feel good, and usually it is within some of these. It is hug, it's time that you spend with the child, looking into the child's eye, it is singing a song, it's words of affirmation, it's saying very good, awesome, whatever. So these are things which give much more reinforcements than um, giving a chocolate, giving the child the food that he eats or she likes. And every time the child cries, now this is one more thing very important. If your child cries, please don't feed the child. Crying of the child does not mean your child is hungry, because many times, as an adult, you're upset, you go to your food. So you are building a connection in those ways. So yeah, so back to hyperactiveness, the root cause of hyperactiveness, find it out. Why is the child hyperactive? What is the processing in the brain that is making the child faster than the real world? You have to reduce it. There are many ways. Now, right now, I don't even believe hyperactiveness exists. You, with any child, given appropriate time with the right tools, we can reduce hyperactiveness. Hyperactiveness is parents not knowing what are the processes that is happening in the child's mind. So we can very easily work with it.
Your child is hyperactive, at times it just requires you to spend that energy with them. And, before, if you are sitting with them to, say you're writing and they're not writing in their extreme energy, give them a time to do jumping jacks, right? Give them time to run around the block and come back to you. Give them, spend that energy. They can't be hyperactive forever and ever. There is a burst of energy that's coming, and that needs to go and be directed by you as a parent in the right sense. So sometimes, without worrying about anything else, just say, okay, you know what, 5 minutes is not going to make a difference. You run around, you come back, and then we do this again. And it actually helps, right? So that's a very, very simple thing that I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thanks, Indrani. Thank you so much. Uh,
Uh, Dear Dr. Arjun and Ms. Indrani, on behalf of Sundarji's Global Academia, we would like to thank you for giving us this insight not only on hyperactiveness but also how we can transform certain habits in the way we behave in order to make our children better individuals for the life ahead. We thank you once again for this very proactive uh, and very insightful webinar with us. Thank you so much once again from Sundarji's Global Academia and Mrs. Mashrat Tawawala. Thank you
thank
so much.